The Senate will come to order. Senator Kafalis, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Yes, thank you, Madam President. Good morning, everyone. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
This morning we have the CSU Concert Choir here to share some music with us. Dr. Ryan Olson will be conducting the choir today. Dr. Olson.
Jubilant, jubilant, to sing the most jubilant song. Full of music, full of joy, power and harmony. For the voices of animals, the swiftness and balance of fish, raindrops, rays of sunshine.
Thank you. That was beautiful. I detect a possible encore. Dr. Olson? Thank you.
I'm gonna sing till the Spirit moves in my heart. I'm gonna sing till the Spirit moves in my heart. I'm gonna sing till the Spirit moves in my heart. I'm gonna sing till Jesus comes. I'm gonna sing, oh my Jesus, moves in my Jesus, oh my Jesus, moves in my Jesus, oh my Jesus, moves in my Jesus, oh my Jesus, till He comes. Sing, oh my Jesus. Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Mr. Majors, would you please take the roll?
Aguilar, Balmer, Baumgartner, Brophy, Cadman, Crowder, Grantham, Guzman, Harvey, Heath, Herpin, Hill.
Excused.
Hodge, John, Johnston, Jones, Kafalis, Kerr, King, Lambert, Lundberg, Marble, Newell, Nicholson, Renfro, Renfro,
He told me, I'm sorry.
Excused?
Rivera, Roberts, Scheffel, Schwartz, Stedman, Toktrop, Todd, Ulibarri, Zenzinger. Madam President.
Here. With 33 present, 0 absent, 2 excused, the Senate has a quorum. Motion to adopt the journal, Senator Herpin.
And thank you, Madam President. I move that the reading of the journal for Monday, February 10th, 2014 be dispensed with and the journal be approved as corrected by the Secretary.
You've heard the motion. Is there any discussion, any objection? Seeing none, the motion is adopted. Committee reports.
February 10, 2014, Committee on State Veterans and Military Affairs, after consideration of the Mayor's Committee recommends the following Senate Bill 82 be postponed indefinitely. February 10, 2014, Committee on State Veterans and Military Affairs, after consideration of the Mayor's Committee recommends the following Senate Bill 111 be postponed indefinitely. February 10, 2014, Committee on State Veterans and Military Affairs, after consideration of the Mayor's Committee recommends the following Senate Bill 119 be referred to the Committee of the Whole favorable recommendation with the recommendation be placed on the consent calendar. February 10, 2014, Committee on State Veterans and Military Affairs, after consideration of the Mayor's Committee recommends the following Senate Bill 132 be referred to the Committee of the Whole favorable recommendation with the recommendation be placed on the consent calendar. February 10, 2014, Committee on State Veterans and Military Affairs, after consideration of the Mayor's Committee recommends the following Senate Bill 38 be postponed indefinitely. February 10, 2014, Committee on State Veterans and Military Affairs, after consideration of the Mayor's Committee recommends the following Senate Bill 138 be amended as follows and as so amended before the Committee of the Whole favorable recommendation.
Senate Services.
February 11, 2014, correctly printed Senate Joint Resolution 11, correctly engrossed Senate Bills 95 and 96, Senate Joint Resolution 6, correctly re-engrossed Senate Bills 24, 31, 83, 89, 98, and 102, correctly revised House Bills 1020, 1027, 1078, and 1164.
Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam President. I move the Senate proceed out of order for a moment of personal privilege for Senator Kafalas.
You've heard the motion to grant Senator Kafalas a moment of personal privilege out of order. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Ayes have it. Senator Kafalas will be granted a moment of personal privilege out of order. Senator Kafalas.
Thank you, Madam President. Thank you, Mr. Majority Leader. Colleagues, good morning. I appreciate, well, first of all, I appreciate the extraordinary performance of the Colorado State University Choir. You have made my day, and some days I need it more than others, so thank you very much. I also want to express my appreciation to all of you and to leadership to allow just a couple of moments to honor Colorado State University and the Colorado State University system. Today is February 11th, is Founders Day, CSU Founders Day. Colorado State University was established as an agricultural college back in 1870. So we are here to honor, give thanks for 144 years of excellent service to the people of Colorado, to the nation, and indeed to the world through excellent education, research, and of course, service through the various extension programs. So I have this tribute, and again, the purpose of today is to take a few moments to acknowledge CSU, the CSU Global Campus, Colorado State University Pueblo Campus, and together they make a mighty force which educates many of our students, which provides a tremendous economic driver in our communities, and does extraordinary research that transfers from academia into the marketplace to make the lives of people better, not only in our country, but throughout the world. With that said, Mr. Speaker, I did promise that I would be brief, and I hope that meets your criteria. I'd like to acknowledge the dignitaries that are here, and thank you. Should I, you want to? Thank you. So first of all, we have CSU System Chancellor Michael Martin. We have CSU President Dr. Tony Frank. We have CSU Global On-Campus President Becky Takeda Tinker. CSU Pueblo President Leslie DeMar, is she? Yes. Chair of the CSU Board of Governors Dorothy Harrell, welcome. Craig Baruti, Dean of the CSU College of Agricultural Sciences, welcome, sir. Tom Milligan, CSU Vice President of External Relations. Carl Wright, Provost, CSU Pueblo. Ron Sega, Engineering Lead for CSU Denver South. And yes, welcome, sir. And I believe we have running around Cam the Ram, and is that Wolfie or Gold? Oh, that's Goldie. Do we have Wolfie? Yes. Well, okay, we have those creatures here. Colleagues, please join me in acknowledging and thanking these fine dignitaries and their mascots. Thank you, Kevin.
Senator Lundberg.
Thank you, Madam President. And as the Senator for District 15, which comprises some portions of the CSU campus for, for the CSU, the northern side of it, I want to also congratulate the school and point out to everybody 144 years. Now, that's longer than the state of Colorado has been in existence as a state. And I think we really need to pay attention to the fact that higher education actually predates the state of Colorado here in the state of Colorado. And they're doing a great job and continue on today. My congratulations as well.
Senator Marble.
Thank you, Madam President. I would like to acknowledge CSU for one specific area which I don't think anyone can touch, and that is your CSU Veterinary Teaching Hospital and Research Center. That is unreal. Your Stallion Lab, the things that you do agriculturally, it's phenomenal. And I do believe that your veterinary hospital started in 1950, around that time, And since then, you are not just known in the state, you are world recognized for what you do throughout the world in all sorts of areas. I just can't thank you enough. And I have to say, when I professional rodeoed in the United States and Canada, I went to some pretty good university veterinary teaching hospitals to get things done to my horses along the road. No one compared to CSU. Thank you so much for everything you have done for every ag person in the world. Thank you.
Thank you. Senator Cavallis.
Thank you, Madam President. Two quick points that I forgot. First of all, CSU is the only land-grant institution in the state of Colorado, 144 years of service, and that's important to note because of the dedication to access, affordability, quality, research, etc. The second point is that I am a CSU graduate, 1978 alum. Go Rams.
Right. Other commenters on Senator Cavallis' moment of personal privilege. I think Senator Newell was next.
Thank you, Madam President. I just wanted to also thank CSU because all of us have many constituents who go to CSU, both the campus and the online campus as well. And two of the programs that are phenomenal in my constituents' eyes is the music and the music therapy program. So thank you for being here, and thank you for sharing your music with us, and thank you for sharing our programs with us.
Thank you. Senator Rivera.
Thank you, Madam President. As we all know, budgets are a bit tight. You know, it's a hard economy and so on and so forth. Being from Pueblo, we know that all too well. And times are a little bit tough down there at CSU Pueblo, but I'm going to tell you what, they have a president down there that's doing a heck of a job. So I'm going to single out President DeMar for doing a great job down there at Pueblo. Thank you.
Senator Todd.
Thank you, Madam President, and I too want to extend a great hearty welcome to CSU and the wide spans of the state that you represent. I also want to recognize the fact that CSU football team was the only team that played from Colorado in the bowls this year, and so we are very proud of that. Not only the academic, but the character building that's going on with those young people. And want to just recognize, I know you'll all read, but that CSU Global is the ranked number 16 in U.S. News and World Report's ranking of the best online bachelor's programs, and CSU Global's master's program is ranked in the top 100. That says a lot for Colorado. It brings economic development for our state, and so again, congratulations to CSU. Go Rams.
Thank you, and thank you for all of our guests. Senator Lambert.
Thank you, Madam President. You know, and I'm a graduate of the Air Force Academy, which is sort of a rival of CSU, but want to acknowledge CSU did pretty well this year. General Sega's back here, and we had to kind of eat, not falcon this year, but eat crow, I guess. And you know, I really would like to officially, though, thank the University of California this year, because it's the only school, I think, in the country that made both CU and the Air Force Academy look good. So.
Mr. Majority Leader.
No, we're done. Did you need something else?
Yeah, I just want to make one more comment.
We are on a moment of personal privilege from Senator Cavallis. Is there anyone else before we move to the next item of business? Senator Johnston.
I'll be playing the part of Senator Cavallis for the next 30 seconds. I just want to say that much has been made in this chamber of a friendly rivalry, if you will, between the people of Denver and the people of Seattle, the people of Colorado and the people of Washington. And, you know, it's been widely publicized that we have far more Olympians than the state of Washington does, for instance. But I think one thing that people wish is there was just some chance for the state of Colorado and the state of Washington to go head-to-head and settle it. And the good news was we had that. It was called the New Mexico Bowl. And if you want to ask Washington State how it turned out, the answer is the Rams came out clearly on top. So just another piece of evidence in the documented story of Colorado versus Washington, CSU making us proud. Thank you.
Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam President. And thank you, all of our friends from CSU. Great to have you as always. I won't make any comments about Boulder and CSU, and I'll leave that. Madam President, I move the adoption at this point. I think we need to go back.
So I believe Senator Lambert was going to seek a moment of personal privilege out of order for purposes of introducing some guests.
I'm sorry, I did not know that.
Okay, so Mr. Majority Leader, please.
Thank you. I move the Senate proceed out of order for a moment of personal privilege for Senator Cadman.
Thank you. You've heard the motion. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Ayes have it. Mr. Minority Leader will be granted a moment of personal privilege out of order.
Thank you, President Carroll. I just wanted to introduce some special guests from our neighborhood. The Sunrise Republican women are here with us again for their annual day at the Capitol. Welcome, enjoy, and we'll see you at lunch as well.
We're on third reading. Did you also want to comment on the moment of personal privilege?
Personal privilege. Who wants his own?
I got a group up here from camp.
That was the other song.
Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam President. I move we proceed out of order for a moment of personal privilege for Senator Crowder.
You've heard the motion. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Ayes have it. Senator Crowder will be granted a moment of personal privilege out of order. Senator
Thank you,
Crowder.
Madam President. You know, we have a special treat here today. We have a group of middle and high school students from Campo, Colorado. And that's a small town in southeastern Colorado, right north of the Oklahoma border, and I thought I would take a moment to introduce you to them. Joined by the Campo School District Superintendent Nikki Johnson, Campo Mayor Ray Johnson, teachers Leroy England, Tim Gray, and Cheryl Taylor. The students made the 6-hour trip to Denver to see Baca County Dust Bowl exhibit at the History Museum and to visit the Capitol. You know, this is quite a treat for me because what you see here is these are some hardworking young folks that got together and applied for a grant through Monsanto to come up for Colorado Rural Education. But one of the things they wanted to do was see the Capitol, see how their state government worked. You know, this is a very impressive young group, and I just would like to acknowledge them. You know, it's not often we get a group that just wants to come and visit the Capitol. You know, this is a very impressive organization, and you know, I really appreciate it, and I thank you for being here. And I would ask you to join me in welcoming this group from Campo, Colorado.
Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. Third reading of bills consent calendar. Mr. Majors, would you please read the title to all of the bills on third reading consent calendar?
House Bill 1020 by Representative Leibsock, Senators Balmer and Nicholson, concerning the consolidation of 2 reports on taxable property that county assessors submit to their boards of equalization. Senate Bill 95 by Senator Cafalas, Representative McCain, concerning the ability of a prescription drug outlet to compound drugs for distribution to a Colorado hospital. Senate Bill 96 by Senator Crowder and Representatives Exum and Pedersen, concerning renaming state veterans nursing homes to veterans community living centers to more accurately reflect the wide array of services provided to state veterans.
Please add Senator Hill to the roll. Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam President. I move the adoption of all the bills on third reading of bills consent calendar, including House Bill 1020 and Senate Bills 95 and 96.
Is there any discussion on any of the bills on consent calendar for third reading? Seeing none, the question for the body is the adoption of the bills on third reading consent calendar. Are there any no votes on any of those bills? With 34 ayes, 0 no, 0 absent, and 1 excused, House Bill 1020 is adopted. Co-sponsors. With 34 ayes, 0 no, 0 absent, and 1 excused, Senate Bill 95 is adopted. Co-sponsors. Senator Aguilar, Senator Nicholson, Senator Newell. With 34 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, and 1 excused, Senate Bill 96 is adopted. Co-sponsors: Senator Herpin, Mr. Minority Leader, Senator Aguilar, Senator Lambert, Senator Jones, Senator Kafalis, Senator Kerr, Mr. Majority Leader, Senator Nicholson, Senator John, Senator Zenzinger, Senator Ulibarri, Senator Newell, Senator Todd, Senator Brophy, Senator Shuffle, Senator Baumgartner, Senator Schwartz, Senator Johnston, Senator Toktrop, Senator Rivera, Senator Lundberg, Senator Marble, Senator King. Any other co-sponsors on Senate Bill 96? Okay, third reading of bills. Mr. Majors, would you please read the title to House Bill 1078?
House Bill 1078 by Representative Pedersen and Senator Johnson concerning changes to the public education accreditation statutes as a result of legislative review of the rules of the State Board of Education and in connection therewith clarifying the term public school in the accreditation statutes.
Senator Johnston.
Thank you, Madam President. Hope you all are settled in, ready for a good day of discussion on House Bill 1078. I'm glad I got to talk about this bill not just once but twice yesterday, thanks to the fine ruling of the chair. So I'm back on House Bill 1078. On third reading and final passage, I have now talked longer than the entire length of the bill. I ask for an aye vote.
Any discussion on House Bill 1078? Seeing none. Question for the body is the adoption of House Bill 1078. Are there any no votes? Senator.
That's how you do it, Senator Ulibarri. Just walk right up and move it.
With 34 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent. Are you a no vote? Senator Baumgartner is a no vote? Senator Johnston, you had to work for that no vote. I'm just saying. With 33 ayes, 1 no, 0 absent, and 1 excused, House Bill 1078 is adopted. Co-sponsors: Senator Kerr, Senator Crowder, right, Senator Todd, your turn. All right. Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam President. I move we lay over House Bill 1164 until the end of the calendar.
There's a proper motion. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Ayes have it. House Bill 1164 will lay over till the end of the calendar. Would the clerk please read the title to House Bill 1027?
House Bill 1027 by Representative Fisher and Senator Jones concerning the clarification of the definition of a plug-in electric motor vehicle.
Senator Jones.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move House Bill 1027 and ask for a favorable vote. Members, this just changes the definition of electric vehicle. It was on the consent calendar, somehow came off. Basically, it avoids charging other people in it with other kinds of vehicles the $50 fee we assessed last year, $30 for roads, $20 for plug-in stations. So I ask for an aye vote.
Is there any discussion on House Bill 1027? Seeing none, the question before the body is the adoption of House Bill 1027 on third reading. Are there any no votes? With 34 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, and 1 excused, House Bill 1027 is adopted. Co-sponsors: Senator Schwartz, Senator Zenzinger, Madam President Pro Tem, Senator Nicholson, Senator Ulibarri, Senator Kafalis, Senator Todd, Mr. Majority Leader, Senator Kerr, Senator Crowder, Senator Newell, Senator Johnston, General Orders, second reading of bills, consent calendar. Senator Schwartz. You've heard the motion. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Ayes have it. The Senate will resolve itself into a committee of the whole for purposes of considering General Order, second reading of bills, consent calendar. Senator Schwartz will take the chair.
committee will come to order. The court rule is relaxed. Mr. Majors. Mr. Majors, will you please read the bills on the third reading calendar?
Senate Bill 54 by Senator Balmer and Representative Pabon concerning the ability of an alcohol beverage licensee to petition the licensing authority to pay a fine in lieu of a license suspension ordered by the licensing authority. Senate Bill 21 by Senators Tuck, Tropic, King, and Representative Wright concerning the treatment of persons with mental illness who are involved in the criminal justice systems. Senate Bill 27 by Senator Guzman concerning criminal history background checks for professionals who have the authority to appear in court. Senate Bill 104 by Senator Lambert and Representative Duran concerning the disposition of disputed payments of tobacco litigation settlement monies received by the state. Senate Bill 105 by Senator Lambert and Representatives Duran and Giroux concerning the elimination of the requirement that a portion of the fees collected for the Water Resources Cash Fund be transferred to the State General Fund. Senate Bill 106 by Senator Lambert and Representative Giroux concerning the appropriation of federal mineral lease monies from the Local Government Permanent Fund to the Department of Local Affairs. Senate Bill 107 by Senator Lambert and Representative Duran concerning the continuation of the Department of Law's authority to accept gifts, grants, and donations. Senate Bill 108 by Senator Hodge and Representative Giroux concerning the Department of Personnel Revolving Fund and in connection therewith setting an alternative target reserve for the fund and restricting the spending of the capital outlay reserve. Senate Bill 109 by Senator Stedman and Representative May concerning the use of the Prevention, Early Detection, and Treatment Fund and in connection therewith eliminating the annual transfer of $2 million from the fund to the Department of Healthcare Policy and Financing for Medicaid disease management and treatment programs that address cancer, heart disease, and lung disease or risk factors associated with those diseases, and increasing the amount annually appropriated from the fund to the Prevention Services Division of the Department of Public Health and Environment for the cancer, cardiovascular disease, and chronic pulmonary disease prevention, early detection, and treatment program by $2 million. Senate Bill 120 by Senator Hodge and Representative May concerning the continuous appropriation of certain amounts in the State Employee Workers' Compensation Account in the Risk Management Fund.
Majority Leader Heath.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move the adoption of all the bills on general order, second reading of bills, consent calendar, and the associated committee reports, including Senate Bills 54, 21, and its appropriations report, 27, and its finance and appropriation reports, 104, 105, 106, and its appropriations report, 107, 108, 109, and 120.
Is there any discussion of any of the committee reports? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the adoption of all the reports to all the bills and general orders, second reading of bills consent calendar. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The reports have been adopted. Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move we rise and report.
Motion before us is to rise and report. All those in favor say aye. Do we not want to move the bills? Mr. Majority, would you please renew the notions for the adoption of the bills on the consent calendar? We simply adopted the committee reports.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move the adoption of all the bills on general order, second reading of bills, consent calendar, and I think I said, and the associated committee report, so I think I moved them both.
Okay. So the committee reports have been adopted, and now for the adoption of all the bills on the consent calendar. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? And the consent calendar is adopted.
And Madam Chair, I will move again that we rise and report.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Majority Leader. Motion before us is to move and rise and report. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed? We will rise and report.
The Senate will come back to order. Senator Schwartz.
And thank you, Madam President. The committee has met and had a number of bills under consideration. Mr. Majors, would you please read the report?
February 11, 2014, Madam President, your committee of the whole basic report is under consideration of the following attached bills being second reading thereof makes following recommendations thereon. Senate Bill 54, Senate Bill 21 as amended, Senate Bill 27 as amended, Senate Bills 104, 105, 106, 107, 108, 109, 120 pass the second reading in order. Gross place the counter for third reading and final passage.
Senator Schwartz.
And thank you, Madam President. And I move for the adoption of the report.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, the question is the adoption of the committee of the whole report. Are there any no votes? With 34 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, and 1 excused, committee of the whole report is adopted. Senate Bill 54, Senate Bill 21 as amended, Senate Bill 27 as amended, Senate Bill 104, Senate Bill 105, Senate Bill 106 as amended, Senate Bill 107, Senate Bill 108, Senate Bill 109, Senate Bill 120 passed on second reading and ordered, engrossed, and placed on the calendar for third reading and final passage. General orders, second reading of bills. Senator Schwartz.
Thank you, Madam President. I move the Senate resolve itself into the committee of the whole for consideration of general orders, second reading of bills.
You've heard the motion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Ayes have it. The Senate will resolve itself into a committee of the whole for purpose of considering general orders, second reading of bills. Senator Schwartz will take the chair.
Thank you, Madam President. The committee will come to order. The court rule is relaxed again. Mr. Majors, would you please read the title to House Bill 1053?
House Bill 1053 by Representative McCann and Senator Aguilar concerning the authority of the Commissioner of Insurance to adopt rules to ensure consistent requirements for pediatric dental benefits and health benefit plans offered in Colorado regardless of the method by which a plan is purchased.
Senator Aguilar.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members, this is another bill to provide cleanup to federal rules around the Affordable Care Act. It aligns the requirement that pediatric dental benefits need to be available both inside and outside of the exchange.
Senator Aguilar, would you please move?
Yes, sorry, I move House Bill 1053.
Sorry.
This aligns the benefits inside and outside of the exchange that are offered to create a level playing field, and I would ask for your support.
Is there any discussion of House Bill 1053? Senator Lundberg. Sorry.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I appreciate your acknowledgement.
Thank you.
And members, if you look at the committee report, the votes, you'll discover it was not a unanimous opinion that we move this bill forward. The sponsor said it's just a simple cleanup bill, conforming with federal law, and we want to create a level playing field, et cetera, and really, here's the way I would describe it. It's one more mandate. And you've probably heard the example given that the way Obamacare works is everybody has to buy the same insurance policy regardless of whether they need all of the components or not. And you've heard the example of maternity care. A single male in his 60s or 70s has to buy an insurance program that includes maternity care. Well, 60s, let's say. And that's crazy. You know, everybody kind of shakes their heads and say, I cannot believe that they're actually requiring maternity care for everybody. Well, that's the way the rules work. However, by this curious little quirk of how they put this together, if you're buying out, it's either inside or outside, and I don't recall which, the exchange, you're not required to buy pediatric dental care. And the argument is we've got to make it an even playing field. Everybody has to step up to the same thing. Well, in testimony, when I asked the insurance representative, so what does this cost? He admitted there is a cost that is allowed of $1.50 a month for somebody who doesn't need pediatric dental care because there's no child on their policy. But there's still a cost assigned for that policy. And further, the cost is much higher for a family that is that might have pediatric dental needs of, I think they said $7 to $10 a month additional. Well, down here we think, what's $10 a month for a family? Well, you know, for some families, here's what the difference is. Having insurance or not, period. So this may seem like a mild little mandate that simply, quote, levels the playing field, but in real terms of real dollars for real families, there are some for whom this means the difference of affording medical insurance or not. Sure, it's great to have coverage for dental. Of course, if you looked at it, you'd probably discover that there's a deductible of $2,000 or $3,000, so it may not mean anything anyway. But regardless of that, I oppose this, one, on the philosophical basis that we should not be mandating and dictating, and fortunately there's this one little corner of freedom left in the Obamacare system. Well, let's leave it there. But secondly, it's just the practical reality of who can afford it and what effect we will really have. We are forcing people out of the insurance industry, out of the ability to afford insurance in so many ways. And the irony of the, quote, Affordable Care Act is it's made it more and more unaffordable. And I won't spend a lot of time rehearsing the incredible train wreck that Obamacare is, but this is conforming and actually going beyond the Obamacare requirements to enforce it that much more and force some families and some individuals to be paying more for their medical insurance just because we think we ought to be able to force them. I'm a no vote.
Further discussion of House Bill 1053? No further discussion. The motion before us is the adoption of House Bill 1053. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. No. House Bill 1053 is adopted on second reading. Mr. Majors, would you please read the title to Senate Bill 30?
Senate Bill 30 by Senator Crowder concerning the fee charged to issue a special license plate to a person with a distinguished flying cross that was awarded for valor.
Senator Crowder.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to move forward the bill, SB 14030, the physical note as well as the committee report.
So, Senator Crowder, you're moving the Appropriations Committee report? Thank you. To the report. To the Appropriations Committee report. Senator Crowder. Just tell us what the Appropriations Committee report did.
The Appropriation Committee's report was favorable for this.
Just tell them what they did. Did they say anything?
Well, what they did was basically they approved it with some minor amendments on some wording. It was just a cleaning up of it. On page 1, line 103, it was strike valor and replaced with valor and in. That's
So the motion before us is the adoption of Appropriations Committee report. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? So the Appropriations Committee report is adopted to the bill. Senator Crowder.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The bill is quite simple. What it does is it's a license plate bill for the Distinguished Flying Cross with Valor. If you could imagine a helicopter pilot coming in under fire, retrieving badly wounded veterans, this would be the individual who would qualify for this. It's a very simple bill, and I think it's one that has been overlooked for some time. And again, the key word to this bill is awarded with a Distinguished Flying Cross with Valor. I think it's long overdue, and I would ask for a yes vote on this bill.
Further discussion, Senate Bill 30, Majority Leader Heath.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Senator Crowder, for bringing this. I brought one on World War II license plates back a ways, and they had never been recognized. You know, many of us have problems with these kind of special license plates here, but I think this is more than appropriate to recognize the people that have had this kind of service under such great honorable conditions. So I would recommend that we vote yes.
Thank you. Colonel?
Any further discussion of Senate Bill 30? See none. All those in favor of Senate Bill 30 say aye. Those opposed, no. Senate Bill 30 is adopted.
Morris Post Watchers? Thank
Mr. Majors, would you please read the title to Senate Bill 36?
Senate Bill 36 by Senator Baumgartner concerning the creation of emergency medical services license plate for motor vehicles.
Senator Baumgartner.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move Senate Bill 36, the Finance Committee report as amended, and the Appropriations Committee report.
To the Finance Committee report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. What we did in the Finance Committee is we changed the dollar amount from 25 to 10 to better help the rural community to afford this plate.
Is there any discussion of the Finance Committee report? Seeing none, the motion before us is the adoption of the Finance Committee report. All those in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Those opposed? Finance Committee report is adopted. To the Appropriations Committee report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And the Appropriations Committee report just shows that the $4,120 comes out of the Colorado State Tiling Registration account to fund the project. Ask for an aye vote.
Is there any discussion of the Appropriations Committee report? Seeing none, all those in favor of the Appropriations Committee's report, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Appropriations Committee report is adopted. To the bill, Senator Baumgartner.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is another license plate bill for the emergency medical services people. They've asked that I carry it. I told them if they got the signatures, I would. They got the signatures, and I think it's really great to show our support for these people that go out in all kinds of weather and day and night. And so I'm just going to ask for a yes vote on Senate Bill 36.
Further discussion. Senator Stedman.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And you know, I usually just sit in my chair and oppose the creation of new license plates. I rise to speak against this bill. In particular, I missed my opportunity to speak against the Finance Committee report. And I just want to make sure everybody understood what that does, because this was a license plate, a brand new license plate that was created with a charitable contribution associated with it, which actually, you know, if we're going to make all these new license plates, having them actually do a little bit of good in terms of generating charitable contributions, you know, is a little bit of, a little better. But the $25 charitable contribution that the sponsor included in the original bill for EMS Association through the Finance Committee report was reduced to $10. And I just wanted to point that out, that if we're going to make new license plates, it's better that they, you know, accomplish something other than cluttering up the visual out your windshield with all these contrasting different license plates. But the fact that we backed off of the charitable contribution so that this license plate, you know, deserves less credit in terms of actually doing something positive, I think it's just a move in the wrong direction. And so I was going to speak against the Finance Committee report in addition to the whole bill.
Further discussion. Senator Baumgartner.
Yes. Thank you, Madam Chairman. The reduction in the contribution has nothing to do with the amount of money that it takes from the appropriation to fund this. The reason that we reduced that amount was so that people that are not paid EMS wages or are not, well, that are not paid, they volunteer, but they're still proud to be part of the EMS services, and they want to have that plate as well. So rural areas, this is to help rural areas, and they made this dollar amount up theirself of $25 to go into a fund that would help EMS, and they said, look, the organization has agreed that we're going to reduce that to $10, and that money goes into the EMS fund to help with funding their organization and make sure that they have what sometimes we here at the state capital do not furnish them the money to do. Thank you.
Further discussion of Senate Bill 36? Seeing none, the motion before us is the adoption of Senate Bill 36. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. No. The ayes have it. So, well, Mr. Majors, would you please read the title to Senate Bill 41?
Senate Bill 41 by Senator Herpin and Representatives Gardner and Swalm concerning the creation of a USS Colorado license plate for motor vehicles.
Senator Herpin.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move Senate Bill 41 and the committee report from the
Senator Herpin.
Appropriations Committee report.
Thank you, Senator Herpin. Would you please describe the Appropriations Committee report?
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Appropriations Committee added the standard appropriations wording to the bill. In addition, there was a small change to clarify that this license plate would be in commemoration of the USS Colorado submarine, SSN 788.
Is there any discussion of the Appropriations Committee report? Seeing none, all those in favor of the Appropriations Committee report, say aye. Those opposed, say no. Appropriations Committee report is adopted. Senator Herpin to the bill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This will be the fourth ship to be named for our state. The first USS Colorado actually existed before we became a state. It was a three-masted frigate in commission from 1858 to 1876. The second USS Colorado was an armored cruiser, a Pennsylvania-class cruiser in commission from 1905 until 1916. Interestingly enough, in 1916, the USS Colorado was renamed the USS Pueblo to make room for the battleship USS Colorado, which served during World War II and was decommissioned in 1947. The sponsor of the USS Colorado battleship, interesting enough, was Mrs. Max Melville, who was the daughter of United States Senator Samuel Nicholson from Colorado. The USS Colorado submarine will be a Virginia-class submarine that is currently being built. This is a great honor for our state. We have not had a ship named after Colorado since 1947. And this license plate, which any person can acquire for a $50 fee, will honor the USS Colorado and its crew. Nuclear submarines stay in service for 25 to 30 years, and so this would be a fitting tribute to the crew and the ship, the USS Colorado. Governor Hickenlooper has formed a commissioning crew to help with the ceremonies when it comes time to actually commission the USS Colorado, which should take place in 2016. And they are supporting this, as well as many veterans groups around the state. And I am a former submariner, so it's a great honor for me to carry this bill, and I request an aye vote.
Further discussion of Senate Bill 41, Senator Lambert.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and just want to recognize the Senator Nicholson that the bill sponsor was talking about, I think is hiding in that stained glass window over there. Senator Grantham happened to notice that. And I had one question for the bill sponsor now. Isn't this the first boat named USS Colorado? Because you've been calling it a ship. Isn't this a boat?
Senator Herpin.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Senator Lambert. Yes, in the submarine tradition, no matter the size of a submarine, we refer to it as a boat. My error.
Further discussion of Senate Bill 41. Seeing none, the motion before us is the adoption of Senate Bill 41. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? No. Senate Bill 41 passes. Mr. Majors, would you please read the title to Senate Bill 62?
Senate Bill 62 by Senators Guzman and Roberts and Representatives Foote and Gardner concerning reinstatement of the parent-child legal relationship.
Senator Roberts.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We move Senate Bill 62 and the Judiciary Committee report.
To the committee report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The committee report really didn't do anything substantive. It had some clarifying language in a few spots in the bill, and I renew my motion for the approval of the committee report.
Is there any discussion of the Judiciary Committee report? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The committee report is adopted. To the bill, Senator Guzman Roberts.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So Senate Bill 62 creates a process for reinstatement of a parent-child legal relationship in limited circumstances for a child whose parents have previously been terminated voluntarily or involuntarily. A county Department of Social Services or the child's guardian ad litem may file a petition for reinstatement alleging the following. And members, this is a bill that has been thought about for several years, and this year we're proud to have brought it this far and hope we have your support. This bill will make it possible for a child that is 12 years or older or is younger than 12 and is part of a sibling group, including a child for whom reinstatement is being sought and who also meets other conditions for reinstatement. So if there's a child that's basically 12 years or older who's lingering in a situation, not being adopted, not being brought into a more formal foster care opportunity, and a child who really wants to get back and be able to be back with his parent, his or her parent. And so this is for those particular situations. The parent must want it, the child must want it, but it is a procedure that will go through the courts. And there are step-by-step procedures. There are timelines set up. Also, we want to make sure that everyone understands that this child does not have a legal parent, it's not in an adoptive placement, and is not likely to be adopted within a reasonable period of time, and all other permanency options have been exhausted. The situation with the reason for the loss of parental rights cannot have been based on sexual abuse, any kind of egregious behavior, or any kind of abuse in that manner. So the bill requires the court to hold initial hearings to determine whether certain threshold conditions for pursuing reinstatement have been satisfied, that the former parent has remediated the problems that led to the termination of the parent-child legal relationship, and that the former parent has participated in an assessment that supports the reinstatement of the parent-child legal relationship. So it's a process that will take some time, but it's a process that we believe this bill will enhance the opportunity to bring families back together, to affirm the healing of a parent, to affirm the process that this parent has gone through, and also to affirm the request of a child who wants very much to be back in a family situation.
Is there further discussion on Senate Bill 62? Seeing none, the motion before us is the adoption of Senate Bill 62. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed? Senate Bill 62 passes. Mr. Majors, would you please read the title to Senate Bill 110? Senator Stedman?
Senate Bill 110 by Senator Stedman and Representative Giroux concerning the General Assembly's development of recommendations regarding new methods of financing the state's ongoing capital construction needs.
Majority Leader Heath.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move we lay over Senate Bill 110 until Friday, the 14th of February.
The motion before us is laying over of Senate Bill 110. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Senate Bill 110 is laid over until Friday. Mr. Majors, would you please read the title to Senate Bill 17?
Senate Bill 17 by Senators Roberts and Hodge and Representatives Vigil and Quorum concerning the limitation and approval of real estate developments that use water rights decreed for agricultural purposes to irrigate lawn grass.
Majority Leader Heath.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. I move we lay over Senate Bill 17 until February 18th.
The motion before us is to lay over Senate Bill 17 until 17. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, Senate Bill 17 is laid over until February the 17th. Majority Leader Heath. Senate Bill 17 is laid over until February 18th. Majority Leader Heath.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move we rise in the report.
The motion before us is for the body to rise in the report. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, we will rise and report. Madam President.
The Senate will come back to order. Senator Schwartz.
Thank you, Madam President. The committee has met and had a number of bills under considerations. Mr. Majors, will you please read the report?
February 11, 2014, Madam President, your committee, the whole page reports out in consideration of the following attached bills being a second reading thereof, makes following recommendations thereon. Senate Bill 30 is amended, Senate Bill 36 is amended, Senate Bill 41 is amended, Senate Bill 62 is amended, passed on second reading and ordered, gross place the counter for third reading, final passage. House Bill 1053 passed on second reading and ordered, revised, placed the counter for third reading, final passage. Senate Bill 110 laid over until February 14, 2014, retaining its place on the calendar. Senate Bill 17 laid over until February 18, 2014, retaining its place on the calendar.
Senator Schwartz.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move for the adoption of the report.
Is there any discussion on the Committee of the Whole report? Seeing none, the question for the body is the adoption of the Committee of the Whole report. Are there any no votes? With 34 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, and 1 excused, the Committee of the Whole report is adopted. Consideration of resolutions. Senate Bill 30 is amended, Senate Bill 36 is amended, Senate Bill 41 is amended, Senate Bill 62 is amended, passed on second reading and ordered, engrossed, and placed on the calendar for third reading and final passage. House Bill 1053, passed on second reading and ordered, revised, and placed on the calendar for third reading and final passage. Senate Bill 110 laid over until February 14th and retaining its place on the calendar. Senate Bill 17 laid over until February 18th and retaining its place on the calendar. Consideration of resolutions. Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam President. I move we lay over Senate Joint Resolution 0004 until tomorrow, February 12th.
For the motion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Ayes have it. Senate Joint Resolution 4 will lay over till tomorrow, February 12th. Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam President. Colleagues, let me just mention we had a motion of intent to reconsider Senate Joint Resolution 6. This was done so we would have all 35 members here, and that so we'd get everybody on that resolution. Senator Renfro has been excused. He's got 2 sons that are having their tonsils removed today, so we will hold this over until we get all 35 of us. I didn't need to say that, but I just wanted you all to know why we are doing that. And we're going to move on to confirmations. I just want you to know, with the consent of the minority leader, I have placed all the boards and commissions up for confirmation today on the consent calendar. So,
consideration of governor's appointments, consent calendar. Mr. Majors, would you please read all of the appointments on the consent calendar?
Member of the Colorado Housing and Finance Authority Board of Directors for a term expiring July 1st, 2017, James M. Hahn of Englewood, Colorado, to serve as a person experienced in mortgage banking transactions, reappointed. Members of the Board of Assessment Appeals for terms expiring July 1st, 2014, Ann Louisa Maricel of Denver, Colorado, reappointed, and Greg A. Neer of Lakewood, Colorado, reappointed. Member of the Public Employees Retirement and Benefit Plans for a term expiring July 10th, 2017, Susan G. Murphy of Denver, Colorado, to serve as a representative with experience and competence in investment management, finance, banking, economics, accounting, pension administration, or actuarial analysis, and as a Democrat, reappointed member of the Colorado Wildlife Habitat Stamp Committee effective December 31st, 2013 for a term expiring December 31st, 2017. Patricia Dorsey of Bayfield, Colorado, a representative of the Division of Parks and Wildlife, who is also a wildlife biologist, appointed.
Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam President. I move for the confirmation of all the appointments on the consent calendar, including the members of the Colorado Housing and Finance Authority Board of Directors, members of the Board of Assessment of Appeals, members of the Public Employees Retirement Benefit Plans, and members of the Colorado Wildlife Habitat Stamp Committee.
That is a proper motion. Is there any discussion on any of the appointments on the consent calendar? Seeing none, the question for the body is the confirmation of all of the appointees listed on the consent calendar. Are there any no votes on any of the appointees on the consent calendar? With 34 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, and 1 excused, James M. Hahn is appointed to the Colorado Housing and Finance Authority Board of Directors. With 34 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, and 1 excused, Ann Louise Miracle and Greg A. Neer are appointed to the Board of Assessment Appeals. With 34 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, and 1 excused, Susan G. Murphy is appointed to the Public Employees Retirement Benefits Plan. With 34 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, and 1 excused, Patricia Dorsey is appointed to the Colorado Wildlife Habitat Stamp Committee. Third reading. Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam President. And colleagues, can I just have your attention for a moment? We're going to proceed with third reading of House Bill 1164, but after yesterday's debate, I just thought I would just make a few comments. Whether we are acting as the Senate or sitting as the committee of the whole, all of our comments and questions should be directed to the presiding officers and not to other members. And with that, I think we all know this, but we need to be reminded we should refrain from using the names of other senators. These two simple tips can help defray any comments that could be perceived as a personal attack, and obviously keep tensions lower when we have contentious issues and are being discussed. And we all know we really care deeply about these. So we should also keep the institution in mind when phrasing our remarks and avoid using any derogatory remarks or questionable language, as it obviously reflects poorly upon the body and all of us. So it was a long day yesterday, and I just thought all of us should be reminded of proper decorum as we're sitting and having these debates. With that, Madam President, I think we're going to move to House Bill 1164.
Third reading of bills. Mr. Majors, would you please read the title to House Bill 1164?
House Bill 1164 by Representative Hollinghorst and Senator Ulibarri concerning nonpartisan elections not coordinated by a county clerk and recorder, and in connection therewith creating the Colorado Local Government Election Code for the conduct of such elections by special districts, harmonizing residency requirements for voter registration, modifying the Colorado Municipal Election Code of 1965, and clarifying when elections are coordinated by county clerk and recorders.
Senator Ulibarri.
Thank you, Madam President. I move House Bill 1164 on third reading and final passage and ask for an aye vote.
Senator Lundberg.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, understanding that I have the opportunity to speak twice on this very important bill before the vote is cast, I'm going to choose to spend my first few minutes and my first opportunity to speak to ask questions which I hope the bill sponsor or other members will answer to the satisfaction of all of us, because these are questions I believe are important. So bearing that in mind and bearing the admonition from the Majority Leader in mind, I will frame my question to the sponsor through the chair. And it's concerning this bill, which of course has been really rushed through the process, be it for appropriate reasons or not, is very difficult to digest all at once, and I'm sure everyone has found that to be a daunting task. And one element that's come to my attention even after our lengthy debate yesterday is just what portions of law will apply to the special district elections that this new article in the law addresses. And that is, if you look to the revised version of the bill, starting on the bottom of page 9, we have the 1-13.5-106, applicability of the Uniform Election Code of 1992. In other words, how does this new article interface with the current Uniform Election Code in Colorado statute? In the first paragraph, we focused in quite a bit yesterday, and that being the rather curious construction that allows any local government to, through resolution, identify what portions of this article, 13.5, is actually going to be followed. And it leaves it up to the election official. And it says that they can defer to that in lieu of all or portions of this article. In other words, they can take this article, 13.5, and follow it as their election code, or they can take portions of 1305 and follow it as their election code. But that's in paragraph 1. In paragraph 2, and this is the big question I have, is it then goes on to state, quote, all provisions of the Uniform Election Code of 1992 not in conflict with this article apply to local government elections. So it doesn't actually release local district elections or election officials from any of the provisions of the election code, the Uniform Election Code, the rest of Title I election law. It simply gives them an option if they're, of the, particulars within 13.5. So here is my question, Madam President, which I very much hope can be answered, and that is, what of the other requirements within the election law are they subject? Are special district elections and election officials subject to all of the Secretary of State's rules concerning elections? What about their being subject to the oversight of the Secretary of State's office? Are they fully exempted from all oversight? Because we've seen these examples and heard, in debate that the Secretary of State doesn't want to have anything to do with this, and the county clerks don't want to have anything to do with this. Well, they may or may not want to have anything to do with this, but if I'm reading this paragraph 2 correctly, all provisions of the Uniform Election Code of 1992 not in conflict with this article apply to local government elections. And then therefore, are they subject to the Secretary of State's oversight? And is the Secretary of State in charge of this? That's one set of questions. Will there be a voting systems testing as required by the Secretary of State for elections? Will the equipment necessarily, be required to go through all the testing anyway? What about post-election audits? What are the provisions? What is the requirement? And what about the bilingual ballot requirements? Is that an element that's necessary to be considered? what are the differences between a special district election and other elections? What about SCORE? Is there to be an interface with the SCORE system, which is the big database mechanism? If I'm reading this correctly and the words are on the page, so I don't see any ambiguity here at all. As much as, we had a big debate and discussion about ADA requirements. But in fact, if you put paragraph 2 in there, it's already in there. Okay, here's another one, which we had a big debate on, and that is, are vote centers, or I don't think they're called vote centers now, according to 1303 terminology, but are those polling places that are prescribed, that are required in elections, required for special district elections? There's, off the top of my head, I think it was like 800 voting locations required for elections. Do those apply or do those not apply to special district elections within that geographical area of that special district? Those are questions that need to be understood. My presumption, is that this is what it says, and that all of those things do apply, and that those elements are incorporated into special district elections. And the only exception would be if somewhere in 1164 it states specifically in the Article 13.5 that it is exempted, that it is not there. But I haven't had time to digest all of that, and that's why I believe it's very important before the vote and for the legislative record that this be set very clear. Because for the legislative record, I do state that, quote, all provisions of the Uniform Election Code of 1992 not in conflict with this article apply to local government elections. Hence, we haven't simplified it. We've really complicated it, but the folks who are going to run these next elections this spring and in succeeding years had better know what the rules are. And it sounds like they're multiplied, and can we have some clarity, please? Thank you.
Any other discussion? Mr. Minority Leader? Or who? Senator Harvey? There is an amendment on the desk. Mr. Majors, would you please read? Senator Harvey, I guess, would you care to ask for permission?
I'm sorry.
Senator Harvey.
I'm sorry. It's been a long time since I've done this. Madam President, I would ask for permission to run a third reading amendment.
And your explanation, Senator Harvey.
Thank you. This is an issue that we talked about yesterday, but I think it's important that we deal with this again today in light of what was in the newspaper this morning, and I would just like to have the discussion.
The question for the body is whether to grant Senator Harvey permission to offer a third reading amendment. Are there any no votes? Senator Harvey, you will be granted permission to offer third reading amendment. Mr. Majors, would you please read Amendment L048?
Amendment L048, House Bill 1164.
Senator Harvey.
Thank you, Madam President. Members, this issue is dealing with the issue of, I'm sorry, I move Amendment 048. I'm sorry, that was the second reading amendment. I move third reading amendment 1, I guess. 048, and ask for an aye vote. Members, yesterday we talked about how the designated election officials are hired by the board. And the board may be pushing a tax increase that they want to get passed, and so they hire an election official to do that election. That, just on its face, is kind of questionable. But then the election official then has the ability to appoint judges, and those judges can be from anywhere across the state. But if the citizens of the state of Colorado or of that district want to have a poll watcher there to watch the election on behalf of the citizens of that district, they cannot get, they are prohibited by statute from having a poll watcher from outside of the district. And I always go back to the Saguache County situation where it would take 5 hours to drive over here, or if it was in the winter, a good friend of mine who lives in Lake City, it took him 9.5 hours to get here from Lake City to the Capitol last week to be here on Tuesday morning. If there is a requirement to have a poll watcher from the district in the winter and they have to drive all the way over here, that would be incredibly burdensome. And remember that these elections can be 15 days long because the designated election official can start counting votes 15 days out. And so if you're going to have if you're going to have a poll watcher here for those 2 weeks, it's going to cost them a fortune to stay here, plus it's going to require them to drive the 9.5 hours to come over here. And why would we prohibit that? Why wouldn't we just say, if there's a poll watcher in Denver that we would like to represent us, why can't we do that? And I would argue that the reason why we are prohibiting that is because there are individuals specifically that we do not want to be poll watchers. Is that the case? I had a dear friend on the floor yesterday that had helped me read this bill inside and out. We spent 11 hours together going over every single word, every single comma, every single
to your amendment, please.
Issue about this bill. And she explained how this works and why this is the case and why we need to have the ability to have poll watchers outside of the district. This person was Marilyn Marks. And there is an article in the paper today talking about how she should not have been allowed on the floor to help
Senator Harvey,
with this
this
bill.
is not to your amendment, to your amendment.
And I believe the reason why we want to deny poll watchers the ability to live outside of the district to be there is because of people like her. We do not want to allow the Marilyn Markses of the world to be able to come to Denver to represent individuals, citizens of the state of Colorado. Our poll books require us to have somebody removed from the floor. You have to have 5 people to sign a letter saying we can have them removed from the floor.
Senator Harvey, you are not addressing your amendment.
What this amendment does is say we can have 18 senators here on the floor to have them removed from being a poll watcher anywhere in the state. Is that really what we want to say? Is that because 18 senators on this...
Senator Harvey, you are out of order. You have been asked 5 times to limit your comments to your bill, not your editorial about unrelated things. Please address your comments to the merits of your amendment.
Thank you, Madam President. My amendment simply says that you can have a poll watcher from anywhere in the state. Anywhere that the citizens of the district want their poll watcher to be, they can make that decision. They can make that decision for themselves. If a candidate running for a board wants a poll watcher to be from anywhere in the state, he has the ability, she has the ability to do that. They currently can do that in state statute under Title I. They currently can do that under the municipal election codes. Why in this statute that we're creating today are we saying no, you cannot hire somebody, or not hire, ask a volunteer to represent you from anywhere in the state? Give me a rationale for that. Nobody came up and answered Senator Lundberg's question, and I'm not surprised if nobody will answer this question, because it is indefensible. I would ask for an aye vote.
Any further discussion on Amendment L048? Mr. Minority Leader.
Thank you, President Carroll. This is about inclusion. This is about transparency. This is about accountability. We, the people. It's not we, the special districts. It's not we, the special interests. We aren't elected by them. It's about the people. Why does this bill exclude legal residents of this state from participating and specifically observing a political process? Why are we discriminating against them? Why are we victimizing them? To what end? It hasn't been done before. Apparently, there is some concern out there that transparency sheds light on these elections. Who's the observer when there's a special district of 1? Oh, I saw me vote. It's okay. I know it was me. Or 2. Who's the observer? We have just said that nobody can observe them unless they're the actual ones in the special district voting. Does that sound right to you? It's not right. It can't be right. There's nothing right about that. Common interests, not special interests. That's who we represent. That's who elected us. And that's who we should support by voting yes on this amendment. I would ask for an aye.
Further discussion on L048, Senator Lundberg.
Thank you, Madam President. I rise in support of this amendment and want to remind you that we're talking about those special district elections that, despite the fact that people can hardly believe that these elections are carried on sometimes hundreds of miles away from the special district. That's why this amendment in particular is so important, that if there is to be oversight, it has to be something that can be reasonably available. And under these most unusual and, I believe, unreasonable circumstances of allowing a special district to conduct elections far away from the people who are actually voting, at the bare minimum, they should be afforded the opportunity to select who they wish to observe that election process. What is there that's being hidden? Why is there such a veil of secrecy? Why are these elections buried in some corner of the state, and I'm not even aware that the state that it's required to be within the boundaries of the state? What if it's held in New York City? Why is the bill constructed in such a way that it prevents a reasonable accommodation to actually watch the election process as it unfolds? What's to hide? Support the amendment, please.
Senator Ulibarri.
Thank you, Madam President. I respectfully ask for a no vote on this amendment. It was discussed at length yesterday. We had multiple conversations. Again, when we talk about special districts and folks being able to debate the issues in front of them, whether it's a taxation measure or candidates for a municipal election, the folks should come from the district who have an interest in the outcome of the election. Again, we've had this conversation. I respectfully ask for a no vote.
Any further discussion on Amendment 48? Mr. Minority Leader.
Thank you, President Carroll. It was discussed at length, definitely discussed at length. But it's about protecting the people of those special districts, not the district itself, not this corporate entity. Discussed at length, but what we're talking about is discrimination, and that is never justified. I would ask for an aye vote.
Question before the body is the adoption of Amendment 48. Are there any no votes? Senator Ulibarri, Senator Aguilar, Senator Nicholson, Mr. Majority Leader, Senator Kafalis, Senator Toktrop, Senator Kerr, Senator Jones, Senator Schwartz, Senator Hodge, Senator Zenzinger, Senator Todd, Senator Stedman, Senator John, Senator Newell, Madam President Pro Tem, Senator Johnston. Please add the President. With 60 ayes, 18 noes, 0 absent, and 1 excused, Amendment 48 fails. We're back to third reading of Amendment of House Bill 1164. Further discussion. Senator Marble.
Thank you, Madam President. I was just thinking, as our good senator from Larimer County brought up a question about who's going to decide about who's in compliance with the optional election laws and who is going to be the one to refer to. Well, at $400 an hour for about a 75-hour minimum, an election attorney will do that. And it will cost because there will be many lawsuits. We have been here for probably 8 hours now discussing a bill which has 10 very good reasons why this bill should be rejected. 8 amendments were adopted, but it does not make this bill a fixed bill. We looked about the bill. It abolishes local residency time requirements for any Colorado voter, undermining local control. The bill makes compliance with election law optional. The bill discourages voter participation, allowing tax and debt hikes in little-known elections. The bill abolishes all Secretary of State oversight, and this one really bothers me. Because when you look at elections and what happened, especially in the last 4 years, it was the Secretary of State who ensured that our military were not disenfranchised when it came to election. It was through his efforts, and I want to see that continue. This bill exempts districts from all regulations. This bill allows uncertified, untested voting systems. No signature verification. It adopts the honor system of elections, decriminalizes certain election fraud, which certainly is in question when you look at Broomfield. It invites litigation against local governments. $400 an hour is not an exaggerated figure when you look at an election attorney, and there will be many of those. Can local districts afford that? I guess they're going to have to. I urge a no vote on 1164.
Senator Lundberg for your second time.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, I am deeply disappointed that we haven't heard any response to the many questions that I posed, except I do thank the other good senator from Larimer, Weld, and Broomfield counties for giving us kind of the cliff note to answer, which is ask an election attorney and pay the significant fees, and you can probably sort out how your special district election can be managed properly. And you need to know. You need to know if the Secretary of State will ultimately still be subject to overseeing the election. You need to know if all of the rules that have been promulgated by the Secretary of State's office concerning the Uniform Election Code apply, because they do, and how they apply and how they interface. You need to know how the ADA compliance does work. You need to know if the voter service centers, I should say where the voter service centers are required by election law. You need to know how you're going to interface with real-time access to the score system. You need to know if bilingual ballots are required. You need to know about post-election audits. You need to know of the diagnostic testing of the electronic systems for the election are conducted and how they're conducted, and all of that that is required to ensure that the election is held properly. And those are just the questions that came to me in the last few hours as far as how does this really work? 1164 is not a simplification, and it's certainly not a fix to the obvious problems that were created by the radical changes in election law last year. 1164 is more of the same. And bear this in mind as well, for all of the particular details necessary for debate and discussion, the real key component is to reduce these elections down to the same common denominator of same-day registration and, at least as much as possible, all mail ballots. So the citizen who finds that to be an offensive measure for the custody of their ballot, their senses are denied, their good sense is denied. And the uncertainty created by such a loosely regulated system, particularly here with these special district elections, because they can pick and choose between this new Article 13.5 and the rest of the code. And so each election comes up with a new set of rules. This is rife for corruption. This is rife for confusion, for lawsuits to follow in any contentious election. And do they occur? All the time. I remember in my area we had a brand new library district, and there was a taxing question. And it failed on a tie vote. A tie vote. Do you think something was riding on that? Yes. Well, that just opens it up and to any challenge from either side. 1164 is bad law. It will cost the people of Colorado not just in dollars and cents, but in the integrity of their elections. And that's why I'm down here speaking passionately for hours, is the integrity of the elections means something to the people of Colorado. Elections are not just something we have to go through to get to the desired end. No, the elections are the essential quality of a self-governed people. They are that means by which we transmit our, and I'm speaking of the people, not this Senate, the means by which the people transmit their will to the elected officials, to the governing bodies that they've established. And if there is no confidence and integrity in the voting process, then we have disenfranchised not just some, but all of the voters in the state of Colorado. I stand before you today because it is vitally important that every vote counts, that every voter is counted, that every voter is legitimately counted and not canceled out by some fraudulent activity that is allowed through a very weak and frail system. And that's what I see in 1164. It's not fixing anything, it's breaking more. It's undermining that foundation of the democratic process that we have in this nation. I cannot speak in terms strong enough to truly convey my sense of horror over what is being accomplished through 1164. And those are strong terms. I understand that. But this is so fundamental to what we do and to what the citizens expect. And the process that I've seen this bill go through this legislature underscores the lack of integrity that we're putting into our election process. I do not believe the people of Colorado will sit by idly and say, oh, well, it's only an election. I believe a decision to move this bill forward is a decision to, well, it's a decision that must be rejected ultimately. I should hope we will do that today. It's kind of like, you're going to go the easy way or the hard way. Well, the easy way is we simply say no and we take a better path. And there are better solutions to fix the problems that were created by 1303. This isn't it. This is more of the same problems. Please, for the good common sense of the people of Colorado, vote no.
Senator Balmer.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Excuse me, Madam President. Madam President, I want to offer an analogy to this whole scenario, not just the scenario of House Bill 1164, but also a scenario to help you focus on what special districts are like. And I'm going to borrow from my favorite source of analogies, and that is Star Trek. You will remember in Star Trek 1, the new Star Trek movie 1, and Spock was talking to Montgomery Scott about the concept of transwarp beaming. Those of you that do not know what transwarp beaming is, it is when you try to beam onto a starship that is traveling at warp speed, which can only be accomplished with Montgomery Scott's formula. Mr. Scott, as most people know him. Scotty. And he said to Mr. Spock, he said, the notion of transwarp beaming is like trying to hit a bullet with a smaller bullet while blindfolded and riding on a horseback. His point was that it's almost impossible to accomplish. So let's talk about a voter that wants to participate in special districts elections. Can they easily participate in special district elections? No. Special district elections currently are like an abandoned bird of prey. Abandoned bird of prey. The Klingons have abandoned it. It's out on the neutral zone, all by itself. That's a special district election currently. It's so hard to get to and so hard to participate in that most voters don't bother. But now we're going to take that abandoned bird of prey and we're going to put Mr. Scott on it because he can fix anything. And he's going to, in about 5 minutes' time, completely repair its warp drive and have this bird of prey traveling at warp speed now, barreling across the universe at warp speed.
Under House Bill 1164, in order to participate in the special district election, you're going to have trans-warp beaming capability to be able to beam onto that bird of prey that Mr. Scott has got traveling at the speed of light. That's how hard it's going to be. The other analogy that it brings to mind is how fast this bill has moved through the legislative process. I think we need to come up with a new term that is faster than warp speed. And I invite the other colleagues to come up with that new term, and when you do, please provide it to Star Trek. They're obviously in production for the next movie right now, which I can't wait until it comes out. So, Madam President, I hope that this analogy has provided some illustration to how crazy and how secret special district elections are right now. Nobody knows they happen. Nobody, for the most part, votes in them. Very few people vote in special district elections, and we're going to make it 10 times harder to vote in them. So, and then I didn't even bring up the point of being able to monitor these special district elections, which are also going to require trans-warp beaming capabilities. If you're going to be able to beam on to that bird of prey traveling at the speed of light to be able to monitor their election out on the edge of the neutral zone, because that's how far away these elections will take place from the actual people that they're affecting. Thank you for your indulgence, Madam President.
Thank you. Their discussion on House Bill 1164. Mr. Minority Leader.
Thank you, President Carroll. To my colleague, the good senator from Centennial, dude. Maybe we should pay off our bet to Seattle with a bird of prey. New terms. I was listening to KOA the other day coming in, and they were talking about new terms in the dictionary. A lot of new terms since I actually bought a dictionary. Because why would you buy one? You've got one on your laptop. But Googling, it's a verb. Go back 10 years. Googling, if you said Googling, somebody would be trying to wipe drool off you and saying it'll be better later. Right? Googling. Texting, sexting, verbs that we now have in the pop culture dictionary, actually normal dictionary. And I kept hearing yesterday, codifying fraud, codifying fraud, codifying fraud. So maybe another new term is fraudifying, because that's what it feels like this is doing. Fraudifying elections. And I've heard the assertions that we are relitigating the discourse over 1303. Okay, we are. It's referenced in the bill summary, it's referenced in the fiscal note. We took a new broken system and decided to extend the broken system and actually make it worse for special districts. This proposal is flawed, and I will concede to the sponsor, the senator from Commerce City, that we appreciated some of the consideration given yesterday and some of the amendments offered and accepted, to include one of my own. But it's not about me. I mean, this is about protecting the rights of those who are affected by these special districts, from 1 to, what did we hear, 90,000+ in a special district? 200,000? But there are still issues with this that we just can't promote. We kept hearing, no, that's not going to happen, every time we brought one up, every time we referenced the bill. Multiple responses included, no, that won't happen, that's not what they're going to do. But they can, right? And if the law allows it, then they can. And that's what we have to protect against. Aren't we looking for a uniform elections code? Uniform election code. Uniform means consistency. Uniform means all things the same. Everything that we hope we are not, right? But we want uniform elections. We want people to understand that when it's election day, that there is a consistent expectation of how to vote, where to vote, that your vote will be counted, and that nobody's vote will be counted that shouldn't be. The sponsor shared these words yesterday, using them in support of this bill regarding elections. They are fundamental, they are foundational, they are constitutional. That's why we're here. That's how we all got here. But that's not about districts, that's not about corporations, that's about the people who select their governing bodies. Thousands of governing bodies. I think this came to fruition for me a few years ago when we did a tax assessment to see how many taxing districts we had in the state. Thousands. People voting to self-tax for specific benefits. Thousands of districts in this state. Uniform election code is important because a lot of people live in one part of the state and own property in another and have a right to vote on things where they own property, in areas where they own property and not necessarily where they live. Also during the debate, the sponsor threw out some interesting terms that I had not heard before, and I sat through the entire committee on this. I'd never heard the derogatory term gypsy voters. I don't really know when that was brought into the debate. It certainly wasn't anything that was introduced by any of the witnesses or any of our colleagues. We heard the assertion that there was a member of the state that committed fraud. Last time I looked, I didn't see where that person was charged or convicted, and I'm pretty sure we don't have the authority to make those determinations as a senator, or as a lawyer, or as both, or as neither. We can't just stand here and say somebody's a criminal, as if it were so, and expect not to have some sort of response. You are constitutionally protected at this microphone to say anything you want, but it doesn't give you impunity from the public that we represent. Uniform election code. It's not uniform if you can pick and choose from a list of provisions in multiple codes, some of them dating back decades. If you don't believe me, look at page 3, line 10. I'm not making this up, it's in black and white. The bill allows any Coloradan to declare residency instantaneously, page 102, line 7. Yes, a continuation to litigate the things that we were opposed to in 1303. Decriminalizes tampering with local election voter rolls. Why wouldn't we protect that? Why wouldn't we maintain security on that? Allows a private contractor with unilateral control in conducting the election, but someone who's not been elected, someone who's not under oath, no bond and no accountability to the public. You know, you can't even get a license to cut hair in this state unless you do a background check. You can't be a realtor in this state unless you can pass a background check. You can't sell cars in this state unless you can pass a criminal background check. We are more interested in protecting those areas of commerce than we are in the most, let me repeat, fundamental, foundational, constitutional tenets of our society. We will not extend the same protections to what affects thousands of districts and the people who live in them under this bill that we will for someone who wants to cut hair. a little disparity there, wouldn't you say? I think it's a lot of disparity there. Allows uncertified, untested voting equipment tabulation software, page 53, line 15. Allows elections to be conducted hundreds of miles from voters. I guess the war on rural Colorado continues and frankly just got turned up one more notch. And that's unfortunate. Maybe Webster's will be talking about our new word tomorrow as we work to fraudify special elections in Colorado. I'd ask for a no vote.
Senator Brophy.
Thank you, Madam President. Members, I brought a couple of visual aids up here to help make a point and appeal to you. I don't know if any of you, I'm sure you have had a table full of 3-year-olds or 4-year-olds, and you go to pour them glasses of milk or orange juice or even Coke if mom isn't home. And you watch their faces as you pour the glasses, and if you pour one glass short compared to the others, the kids notice that, and they don't like it. Because we have this innate sense of fairness. And to a 3-year-old or 4-year-old, this isn't fair. They know it's not fair and it outrages them. To them, it's cheating. Somebody's getting a better deal, an unfair advantage. The previous speaker talked about how this bill can lead to fraudulent elections. And the previous bill from last year, 1303, much the same thing. Now, I don't know that most of the people of Colorado are paying attention to the passage of these bills at this time, but at some point in the future, some fraud will occur and an election will be stolen. And the people of Colorado will look at that and say somebody cheated, and they do not like cheaters. And they do not like that nobody does, and so they will then want to hold somebody responsible for that cheating. And who will that be? And is that what you want to do to your brand? Now I speak to this side of the aisle. Do you want to be the ones thought of as making this possible? In addition to gun control, in addition to the war on rural Colorado, is that what you want to do to your brand? I don't think you do. I don't know that anyone will pay attention to it at this moment, but at some point in the future, when an election is stolen, when the people of a district or of the state are outraged that somebody cheated, they will know who to blame. And so I'm asking you today, protect the brand, protect the voting franchise. Let's toss this bill out, put together a bipartisan compromise, and make elections fair in this state and not uneven. Vote no.
Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam President. We yesterday had a lot of people here to be confirmed in our committees, and we sent them home. So we've got them back this morning. So in order to honor their presence and allow the confirmation process to go ahead, I'm going to move that we recess until 3 o'clock, and I say 3, we've got committees this afternoon which might go beyond 3. Hopefully they'll be done by 3. If they're not done, we'll recess shortly thereafter when they are completed. But right now I'm going to move the Senate recess until 3 p.m. today.
You've heard the motion. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Ayes have it. The Senate will recess until 3 p.m. later today, where you do need to return.